everybody. Welcome back to the Overtalk podcast. I am your host, Highway, and with me is our lovely co-host.
Hello, I am Aramori. Welcome back, everybody. Um, Last week was pretty crazy. I think that's one of maybe the best shows that we've had so far on Overtalk. I'm so happy that we were able to have Karen come on and talk with us about some stuff. So, just like a quick recap from last week, did you do any of like the tips that we talked about?
I did actually. I started doing the meditating before
Yeah.
every major thing I did. It actually works extremely well.
Yeah.
Um, I like that podcast. Definitely, it definitely took quite a bit out of me as far as like mental strain went. So I just like kind of was like, I'm taking tomorrow off, and Quite then
Yeah.
I'm a gonna bit start out of me doing as the far as like the things, and it felt great. I mean, it's definitely helped me get to sleep a lot better.
Oh yeah.
Um, and sleep is like a massive thing with mental health. So if you guys didn't see that podcast, it will be getting uploaded to my YouTube channel pretty much immediately after this podcast is over. So please watch out for that. I might actually push it back to tomorrow. But either way, it will be going up on my YouTube channel. So be sure to go and take a look at that whenever you can. But as for today, we have some stuff to talk about.
Some spicy stuff to talk about.
There was a massive update that came through yesterday, and I've played a few games on it. I haven't played a ton on it yet, but I can definitely tell you I'm seeing a lot more Junker Queen. So we're gonna we'll get into all the changes here in just a moment. But yeah, that's what we're gonna be talking about today. So I don't know. You ready to just go right into the
I'm
patch
ready.
notes?
Let's dive in cuz I got some thoughts, feelings, opinions and I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. All right, so let's do it this way. I'm going to touch on what the new event is, right? I'm just going to just read it basically from the patch notes. I have it pulled up here. That's why my face is blue. But I'm going to go ahead and just read it from the patch notes. We'll read the event, and then we will go into the balance changes, and then we'll actually talk about the event because I know you're really excited to talk about it. You said you enjoyed it a bunch, so that's
Yeah.
what we're going to do. Okay, so the new event is called Star Watch Galactic Rescue, and it says battle for the fate for the galaxy in this new 4-point assault mode. Side with the Watcher Rebels alongside the mighty Bonebreaker to rescue 3CHO from the Infinite Galactria starship. Or serve the Infinite Empire and use the starship's security systems to defend against the intruders. Your choice will decide the fate of the galaxy, for whichever side wins more battles by the end of the event will reign supreme.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't know that. I didn't know that it was like a kind of like how they did like the deathmatch thing to get the new
yeah.
statue on Ilios. Okay, that's cool. That's really
I
cool.
was about to say it's kind of like the that was called Battle for Olympus. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
that. Which speaking of Battle for Olympus, that actually has returned for a limited time. And there's a team deathmatch version of that as well. So that since that, like you said, the statue got put up in Ilios. I don't think there's not any reward for it this time around, but it's just kind of there if you want to play it and have a good time. But that's there, and then there's a bunch of exclusive unlocks you get for actually completing the Star Watch event, doing you get like a
Yeah,
wrecking ball
and
and that kind of stuff.
I will say the sprays. I'm not normally a person to like really care about getting sprays from an event, but these like they're like kind of like posters. And they're all very like obviously Star Watch as a whole is a homage to Star Wars, right? They have this very like Star Wars-esque feel to them and they're so cool. They are so cool. Um yeah. So
Yeah,
sick.
I agree. They're very very. I have actually liked sprays. Not I don't use them all that much.
Mm.
I think there's something funny about just using a stock Overwatch spray when you teabag
Yeah.
somebody, but that's just me. But I do actually like the art that goes into the sprays. There's a lot of notable ones that come to mind, but either way, I'm really I'll probably actually play this event quite a bit because I agree with you. The spray. Oh, sorry, you're gonna hear my cat Gerald a little bit during this podcast. He's a guest star, but anyway. Point is, I'll actually probably play these events for a lot of these unlocks because they're pretty good, man. I mean, yeah. Anyway, we'll come back to this event and we'll talk more about exactly what it is. Let's go into some of the balance changes that have come up. So for starters, there's been a few changes to the ping system. Nothing really too worthwhile talking in that. But what I did find interesting in the sort of like in between the cracks, which most people will just scroll straight to balance and focus on that. But something they actually put into the general updates was the push game mode respawn time change. So now players who have the forward spawn unlocked,
Hmm.
they have a 2 second longer respawn to kind of help the team that's behind like catch up, right?
Okay.
So what this says to me, again, this is another one of those changes that's kind of bigger than the sum of its parts, I guess, bigger than what it looks like on paper. Blizzard is very understanding that push kind of sucks, right? Like once you get behind, it's really hard to come back. And there's been video essays on that and all kinds of stuff. Gerald is over there walking
Yeah.
across my desk. But anyway, it's kind of it kind of shows that they're looking to change that and balance that, and they're going in the right direction by making the team that's already ahead have some more balance behind it,
Hmm.
I guess. This respawn change.
They're trying to take
So
the 2 CPU away from push as
yes,
much as
they're
they can.
exactly. Exactly. So anyway, that's a good change, and again, it shows that the devs are actually listening and trying to make the game better by player experience. Um, and then they had another thing for the matchmaking. The decay system has received some improvements to sort of be quicker and more accurate. Very vague. All we can really do is take their word on that. But I mean, any improvements to the matchmaking system, I think at this point is welcome change, based off of what I've kind of been hearing and feeling from the player base and my own experience as well. But anyway, that covers and then also competitive death matches starting on the 16th. For those of you who like that,
Woohoo!
I haven't played it since season one. I'll be honest. Not gonna lie to you. But anyway, maybe it'll be interesting because now tanks have been nerfed. I don't. Has there been a competitive death match since the tank
I
deathmatch
don't think
changes?
so. No.
Okay, it might be more interesting now. But anyway, point is that's coming back. So with those out of the way, right, the boring stuff, let's talk about what everyone always cares about, which is hero updates. All right. For starters, Junker Queen has got a ammo buff, which I actually think makes her feel a lot better to play. Her scattergun, her primary fire, the ammo has been increased from 6 to 8. So now she can fire for longer. She's able to kind of put out more consistent damage, which I think that's good.
Hmm.
Um, I think 8 is actually kind of like the sweet spot. I've only played a couple games with her, right? But I think 8 really is like that sweet spot where it's like you can really chase your kills and chase your damage. Whereas with 6, it was kind of like you have to land like a one-shot combo or like, really whittle someone down and hope that you have someone there to back you up. 8 feels a lot cleaner to me.
Hmm.
Aside from that, they made the size of the projectile for her dagger bigger, which
Yeah,
I think is
that's crazy. That is a
yeah, I
crazy
think
change.
that's 25% bigger, or sorry, 33% bigger as well. I don't know if it needed that. Um, and then her like axe swing, her Reinhardt swing has been changed pretty significantly as well. Um, to do some upfront damage, and the wound damage has been changed from 100 to 60.
Hmm.
So all good changes, and then of course her adrenaline rush, which is her passive. The multiplier has increased to 2 times damage from wounds, which is definitely significant.
Yeah.
Um, I'm seeing a lot more Junker Queen, and like I said, I played a couple games of her, and she feels way better than she did before. What do
Yeah,
you think?
and here's the thing. Before this patch came out, okay,
Hmm.
the meta was already shifting towards Junker Queen. Okay, so before all these patch notes came out, Junker Queen was being played in sort of like a old, almost like an old Junker Queen meta, with like
Hmm.
Genji, Soj, Kiriko, Lucio. Okay,
Hmm.
and it was being run and people were trying to maybe play Winston against it. I think Winston was still better most of the
Hmm.
time, but you could play Junker Queen and kind of like play to counter the comp that was meta. So it was being
Sure.
run a lot. It was being run in Owl. It was being run in Contenders. It's being run against me in scrims, and I have also played it in scrims.
Hmm.
And then Blizzard said, "Okay, let's buff her. Let's buff the hero that's already being played a lot." So, so now we're going from this kind of like a little bit diverse meta where people could play Monkey, people could play Diva, people could play Ram. There was Sig, Bap Brig being played. Okay, very interesting, right? And now it's all just gonna be Junker Queen. There's just no way. The
Yeah.
time to kill Junker Queen now, from what I have felt and experienced in scrims after one day, she is impossible to kill. You have to just ignore her. Like, and that's crazy, right? Because if you just from like a common sense perspective, it's like you either have to kill the Junker Queen really fast, which is really hard to do, or you have to go past her. There's a siren in my background. I'm so sorry if you can hear it, but or you have to go past her, and then she's just kind of free to do whatever she wants. So she she
Yep.
just gets to live and just kind of do whatever. It's crazy. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and right now in scrims as like a support player, someone who's playing like Kiriko a lot. It's so funny, like the little battle that's happening between Kiriko players and Junkrat players. It's like, oh, I have Suzu. Oh, I have ult. Ooh, who's gonna use it first? And then if I use Suzu, GG, my team's dead. So it's either like, oh, I love my I don't know, Genji who gets pulse die, or
Hmm.
my whole team gets JQ ulted. It's oh my god. So JQ, she's crazy right now, and I would expect that when this patch goes live on Owl, because they're not playing this patch currently, when this patch
Hmm.
does go live on Owl, and when you do see it on contenders and um even like there's a tier 3 tournament today. It's called the
Hmm.
Star Tournament, which is not to be confused with Star Watch.
Sure.
I am sure you will see a ton of Junkrat being played. It's going to be a Junker Queen extravaganza. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure. And her like her ultimate also feels like it builds really quickly. Is that just
Yeah,
me? Like
yeah.
it's like pretty crazy now. She's been like just power crept extremely hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um and honestly, so what are people usually tell us more about what people are running with like in tandem with the Junker Queen. What's the main comps we're seeing in these competitive formats?
Yeah, so usually it's like versus another Junker Queen comp, okay? I'm not quite sure, like versus the Winston, you could maybe have like a Tracer Sombra or like a Reaper. Um but versus other Junker Queen comps, it's kind of turned into this like either Genji or Tracer with the Junker Queen, and most of the time you're going to want to play like Genji. Tracer's kind of hard to play into Junker Queen, and you're gonna have either like a Soj or an Ash on like longer, more Ash dependent maps. So it's kind of turned into this like fast. I don't know. It's so strange because like you can't like it seems so counterintuitive. Like it's fast, but at the same time it's like slow. Do you know like Colosseo where there was that one fight in Owl where like both teams were just stood still on either
Oh
side
yeah.
of Bob just waiting.
Oh
A
yeah.
lot of
For
fights
like
are
2
like
minutes.
yeah, a lot of fights are like that where it's like, ooh, who's gonna use shout first? Ooh, who's gonna get randomly one tapped by Soldier? Like, ooh, what's gonna happen? And so nothing happens. You're like, what's going on? Oh, who's gonna build Kiriko ult first? Ooh, um,
Yeah.
so it's a fast comp, but a lot of times if you're like playing the same thing, you're kind of just like waiting to like trade cooldowns, and then that turns into a lot of people just kind of like standing still looking at each other. But yeah, so the Genji is being played, which Flex DPS players rejoicing. They're on their hands and knees thanking Blizzard right now.
Mhm.
And then Sojourn Ash, which is not bad in terms of like we went from a hard Tracer Sombra meta, maybe some Reaper, to Genji Soj. I think the DPS players are a little bit happy with that one, if I had to say.
Yeah, and it seems odd to place Genji in that comp against like a equal matchup, in my opinion. Like, surely there must be because you know that both teams are gonna kind of just be lying in wait to engage,
Mhm.
and you know, so the supports. Tell me what the supports again were. That were they Lucio Kiriko? Is that what you said it was?
Yep.
Okay, so that seems like a very difficult
Yeah,
composition
I
to get
know.
some value out of Genji into. So I'm wondering if we're gonna see some more rotation away from Genji on the flex DPS role.
Mhm.
Um, that would be my prediction
Yeah,
personally.
we'll see. I do know, and we'll get into this later, I'm sure, when we talk about her changes, but Echo has been changed a little bit, and I do know that Echo has been played as kind of like a pseudo Genji counter. Because she doesn't really care about his deflect. She can just get him low with stickies, he deflects, and she just beams him. It's kind of ridiculous.
Mhm.
She just wins the 1v1, right? So I do know
Yeah,
that people have been playing Echo versus Genji a lot of times in the past, and that would not surprise me now that with her new buffs, which again we'll talk about, that we see her a little bit more. Yeah, I don't know. I think Genji is played just because of maybe his like mobility. I really would have to like ask. I have no idea why Genji is played. No freaking clue. I just see him. I just see him and
sure.
I just try to dink him.
Sure, makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Genji, like I said, I mean, I understand wanting to have him in a team that's going to speed engage, right? Like for dive, right? Classic. That's a classic comp that makes sense with Genji. But like you said, a lot of the times when you have these JQ matchups, it's a lot of the poke cooldowns out and sort of more
Mhm.
slow paced with a option to engage, right?
Mhm.
So I don't really see Genji as someone who fits into that team's purpose,
Yeah, he has to go.
right? He kinda is more like, yeah, he can poke, but it's very minimal, and it's mainly to set up engages,
Mhm.
right? Like, for example, you see let's just say a Cassidy, right? You see a Cassidy, you throw a few left clicks, and when you get that, like, triple hit, that triple body shot, that's when you're like, "Okay, now I'm gonna go for the dash right click and deflect out if it doesn't work," right? That's more like how Genji plays the neutral from what I've seen.
Mhm.
And it doesn't seem like you really have an easy way of setting anything like that up for Genji against that team comp. I mean, Lucio's too quick, Kiriko's too quick, gotta deal with Suzu, Sojourn's too quick. You're
Mhm.
not gonna do it on a Junker Queen, right? You're probably not gonna do it on another Genji. So,
So, here's what I'll do. I'll call the Overwatch League teams and I'll get them
okay,
on and I'll ask them, "Hey, why do you
got you.
play Genji?"
Makes sense. Yeah, okay, go for it. Yeah, yeah. We'll just wait until they answer, honestly. I think that would
Yeah.
be the
Yeah,
best use of time.
that'll just be
Just
the
sit
I'll just put
quietly.
out like the bat signal and then the rest of the podcast will just sit and wait for someone to answer.
Okay,
Okay,
got you.
cool.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, interesting stuff. It's a very interesting team comp, I think. So let's keep going down the list here, right? So obviously, a lot of Junker Queen getting played. A lot more is going to get played now that we see a bunch
Oh
more
yeah.
Thane and a much easier to land knife. I mean, the difference is night and day, right? It wasn't that hard to land before if you were not bad, but now it's like really like dude, I'll just like, "Oh, there's like 3 people strafing over there. That'll hit someone." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
crazy. It's like a Hanzo log, but worse somehow. So moving on, right? We have some changes to Orisa. She got a
Yeah.
damage buff.
I don't think
Not
that's really
too much
gonna
to
do
say there.
anything.
Not too much to say there. I think Orisa's a really good, like, just anti-tank pick, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, she's kind of like a ranked pocket pick,
Yeah.
where it's like, "Oh, the other team doesn't have any DPSs, their tank is just carrying. I'm just gonna go Orisa and, like, javelin push all of their plays away." Like, "Oh,
Mhm.
look, that person's pushing for a play. Let me just spin and back you up while my team."
Yeah.
And it's
I
like, "Oh, my javelin spin ends? Javelin." Right? Now it's like, "Haha, no play for you." You know what I mean?
yeah, I
It's kinda
definitely agree. Yeah. She definitely feels like a ranked like you've kind of like exhausted your options play. Like if you're playing normally and like things just aren't going your way, it's time to lock the Orisa. It's like on support. If your team's just letting you down, it's time to lock the nails. It's time to go Moira. It's time to fade into the back line.
and I think Arisa's like I said, I mean, she honestly has like a she's pretty good in ranked if you know what you're doing with her. Like you literally can shut down pretty much any other tank. So if you go against a tank that you know is really good and you trust that your DPSs are better, you can just go Orisa and make it so it's impossible for them to do anything. Right? You just literally hard focus the tank, and if someone steps out of line, then you can get a pick with your stun or whatever. But I've found a lot of success with the Orisa, especially against like Reinhardt's and you know, like that, where it's like if they get close to my team, it's like, oh, they can make a big play. Well, I'll just stop that from happening.
Mm-hmm.
Boops and fortify and spins and all kinds of stuff. But overall, don't think she really does enough to, you know, be better than JQ, for example, or like be able to make the same plays that some of the other tanks can. So
I think that since Ram has been released, he kind of like stole her spot a little bit. Because now it's
think so.
like, yeah, Ram just kind of does everything. He's kind of like he can brawl a little bit better than Ryan. Um, if they poke a little bit first, and he can poke okay. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there was like a niche spot where like it was like sometimes you can go Orisa if like what you were saying, like the other tank is bullying you, and now I just feel like Ram just does that better. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, because he just punches through shields. So
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, fair enough. But anyway, I still like picking her, especially against Ram. I think if you play her right, she can mess with Ram as well. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. I might just be noob stomping. So moving on to the next tank. Listen, all right. So moving on to the next tank, we have a monkey change.
Yeah,
They made the center of his land bigger, so that you can get that max damage on a bigger radius now,
I'm cool
from
with
1
that.
to 1.3 meters. I mean, it's just more like I don't mind it, but really they're doing a lot of changes that are making the game more new player friendly. But the thing is, they're doing it on characters that are actually skill based, which I'm fine with. I think,
Mhm.
right? I think the problem with Overwatch historically has been we introduce a character whose full kit is new friendly, right? I'm thinking like early Brigida. I'm thinking like Mora, right? Like a character whose full function is to be a option for players who are
Yeah,
new and
a low
don't know what
skill
they're
floor
doing.
and like a pretty low skill ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that honestly, with Overwatch moving a little bit away from doing that and just like doing things like this where it's like okay, monkey's obviously a high skill ceiling, right, or a high skill floor. Let's make some little changes to kind of drop it some, right, and just let the players who are bad feel like they can get like at least some value and inspire them to keep practicing on those heroes. I think that's a good direction to go because they did the same thing with Junker Queen, who I'd argue, despite being extremely strong, is also a very skill based tank,
Mhm.
right? Because you have to know I can't just walk out in front of the enemy DPSs and just run in because once I use my shout, I have no like, I don't have that health boost, so I have to be doing damage to get my self sustain, right?
Mhm.
So I think that she's a skill based character, and doing stuff like increasing that blade projectile size is actually good for making it more accessible to worse players, which is something I think Overwatch needs. But I think they're really towing a fine line here, in my opinion. So what do you think about the monkey change
I think it's
and
fine.
dagger?
I don't think it's gonna change too much. In my experience, a good support player is not going to have a monkey jump on them, right?
Mm,
So it shouldn't impact you unless it's like, um, it really shouldn't impact you unless you make a mistake. Then that monkey will jump on you, like
right.
so. It kind of like yes, it is like an overall like buff, right? But you can outplay it. Like it's not like, oh, monkey's gonna jump on me and I can't do anything and I'm gonna die. No, monkey has to get into a position to jump on you and then have full HP so he doesn't get blown up in the air to then jump on you. And at that point, it's like, oh, you can whip shot, you can sleep dart, you can zen kick. Like there's
Hmm.
things that you can do. You can play environment. So it's not like, a cast grenade where it's gonna do 300 damage to your forehead, right? You can't do anything about
Sure.
it,
Yeah.
right? There's things
Mhm.
that you should be doing to make sure that even now, like, or I guess previously, like Monkey shouldn't be jumping on your forehead. And if he is, right, if that does happen, your team or your supports should be able to like help you, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so I'm just saying like it's preventable. If you're a good player, it shouldn't impact you too much.
Sure.
If you're a bad player, hmm, what are you gonna do?
Right. Yeah.
Wind didn't jump.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Um. Well, I mean, yeah, I agree. It's not gonna really change much, but I do like the direction.
Mhm,
Again, I like to look between the lines on these things, so I do like the direction that's going. So let's keep going here. We have a lot more changes to get through. I kind of want to pick up the pace a little bit.
mhm.
So Wrecking Ball, his adaptive shield duration has been reduced.
They nerfed him. They nerfed the poor guy for no reason. Like he's just not being played at all, and they're like, you know what? We need to nerf Ball right now. He's in my
Don't
ranked
care.
games. He's so strong.
Don't care. He deserves it. No respect for Wrecking Ball players,
Oh my
except
goodness.
for Ball OW. That's the only ball player I respect. Sorry to break it to everyone. Anyway, Echo is next. Her ultimate cost got reduced,
Mhm.
and the ultimate generation that it does has been decreased as well, which I think is a net nerf, in my opinion. Um,
Maybe.
her ultimate's already kind of bad compared to where it once was, right? Like it can get
Mm.
some good value depending. It really depends on what they're running, right? I mean, if they're running
Yeah.
Ash, for example, fantastic ultimate. Dupe is really easy to quickly get a Bob, and Bob is an insanely good ult, right?
Mhm.
Or if you go for a tank, I mean, it depends, right? If you can dupe a JQ and manage to build her ultimate, then hey, that's good too. But there's really like a lot of ways that you can mess up dupe, and with the reduced health on tanks, I think it's like just gotten significantly worse than it
Mhm.
once was. Um,
I will
so I don't know.
say,
I feel like
so I have played against Echo quite a bit since the
mm,
changes. She has her ult consistently every fight. It kind of feels like Nano or like a Cole, like in terms of just
mm,
like Moira Coalescence and in terms of just how fast it builds. It really is just like every single fight she has it. So it's less of I'm going to use a big ultimate to, win the fight. It's more of like I can go in really deep, I can copy Diva, and then I can keep going and then like have stickies again for when I get out of my copy.
sure.
I even had
Okay.
like an Echo. I was just messing around in quick play playing DPS. My whole team died. They copied Rhine, and they let me shoot them out of copy so they could fly up and kill me on Hanzo. And I was like, oh, I'm so dumb. How did I let
Wow.
this happen?
Yeah, that actually makes sense. It's kind of like when people use Diva Bomb as just a
Right,
like like instant heal tool rather than going for the big
right,
bomb play. Okay, I
exactly.
can see that. I can see that. Yeah, I think even though yes, I can see that there's now a new use for it. I still think it's overall a net nerf because
Yeah,
you're
it's not as
reducing how
strong.
much like all that's pretty much the more you make changes like this, the more it's gonna be like, oh well that's all I can do with it now,
Mhm.
right? But I can see that. I can still see it being decent. Anyway, so that's the echo change. Junkrat got a half revert on his mind damage. Okay. The my favorite part is that they once again nerfed Ana. Praise be.
Yeah.
Praise
Why?
be. That hero has for such a long time been sleeper broken. All right, and I've told you this. I hate Ana. I hate that character. She has an absolutely asinine amount of heal output for being a hit scan character that can also switch to projectile for movement, right? And also her hit scan is like super aim assisted as well, in my opinion, right? I find it very hard to miss on Ana. Her anti grenade, or just her grenade, is both an S tier ability for winning a team fight with an anti. Well, it's kind of gone away with Kiriko, but for a long time it was like an S tier ability for winning a fight off of anti, and it's also an S tier ability for saving your tank. Right? It's like, oh, my tank is about to die. Better throw my bio grenade and instantly pop him back
Mhm.
up to full health while he shields or uses a some kind of sustainability. Right? And then Nano does not need the burst heal. That is the most annoying ever. I hate Ana. And Sleep Dart has always been easy to land as well. I don't care. All right. Yeah, I see all the, oh, I slept the blade in Genji. It's like, congrats. If the hitbox was normal, you would have missed. You know what I mean? Sorry, I know you're an Ana main, so I'm probably hitting a lot of strings here. But, I just,
Um,
I,
I think it's definitely easy to hit on like tanks, but
sure,
with like the Nano Genji thing, there's like a lot of like mind games going up between like the Genji player and the Ana.
sure.
It's like, oh,
Because it
am
is,
I gonna dash? Am I gonna reflect? Like, what's gonna happen,
yeah,
right? So there's a
sure.
little bit of mind games happening there. But um, I will say this is the second patch in a row that Anna got nerfed, and the sleep dart change already was pretty bad, right? Like it
Mhm,
didn't make her unplayable, but it definitely took a lot of like the um her survivability away. So like Monkey again was being played a lot previous patch, okay? And
mhm,
Junker Queen is just really hard to play on into because that comp, if you're playing something that is slower, like a lot of times people are playing like a diva on a break, right? Um, the Junker Queen comp would just kind of like run at you and just kill your Ana, and that's really hard. And you kind of just have to go Kiriko, right? So you can use the JQ
mhm,
and survive, right? So it was already a little bit hard to play Ana. But the place where she was acceptable to play was versus monkey comps or diva comps, okay? Because she
mhm,
could monkey primal, okay, sleep the primal, okay, his primal's done. Okay, you did your job, okay? Um, maybe they're running Ash, you can sleep the Bob, Bob's done. Okay. Well, now that they have changed sleep, right? Monkey Primal and Monkey Nano are a lot scarier
mhm,
to deal with as a support player. Okay. So anytime that you're playing versus like a monkey comp and you're on it now and they have primal, instead of okay, I'll sleep the primal and we can run away and we can rotate, it's more like, okay, team, they have primal, I'm gonna sleep it, but I guess just trade me later, guys. I'll see you next fight. Like it's hard
mhm,
now. And then this patch, they said, you know that nade that you use to like keep yourself alive, like maybe when monkey jumps on you and like you need to nade yourself for like 100 HP. How about we make that like almost half? How about we make it so you only get 60? How do you feel about that? So now
yeah,
it's kind of turned Ana into like this. Um, you have to hit your sleeps, and even if you do, you're not guaranteed to live anymore on tanks at least. And now your nade, you're just not gonna get. You just can't survive anymore. So I think this might be what knocks Anna away. I think it's for her own like survivability. She just can't anymore. Um, maybe on like some longer maps with Brig, sure, but Monkey, it's just so hard now. She used to counter Monkey, and now Monkey counters her. That's my opinion. It's hard. It's a hard life
good,
here.
good. I'm an Ana hater, bro. I'm. I don't know if anyone watches basketball, but I'm like Ana Skip Bayless. All right. If anyone watches basketball, that's gonna land. If not, doesn't make any sense. But point is, right? I hate Ana. I've always hated Ana.
she
Sorry, Ana
has
main.
she has been really strong. I think it is interesting where to see like a meta where she isn't strong because she has just forever been strong. And I think the direction they're going is more so for BAP and Kiriko to be stronger, which I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. We'll see.
Yeah. So real quick, wanna quickly shift us here for one moment. This show this week is sponsored by BetterHelp. And it's important we talk about this. We spoke about a lot of mental health stuff last week on the podcast. Um, but you need to be taking care of yourself, right? Speaking of Anna not being able to take care of herself, you need to be taking care of yourself. Uh, when you're kind of always there for a lot of people, right? Where you're always helping others and never working on taking time for you, you can feel pretty burnt out and pretty stretched thin. And it's important to have those moments of escape and moments of self care. And one of the best ways to do that is actually through BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a fantastic service. I highly recommend it. Like I said last week, I actually know someone in my current household that uses it, looking to start using it pretty soon myself as well. Um, and just seeing all the stuff that they have for all walks of life, all kinds of stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy. They give you so much value for so little from you, right? All you need is time and with our promo code, a little bit of money to subscribe, and they will absolutely it's absolutely life changing. It really can be life changing for a lot of people. They have stuff for first responders. They have stuff for depression, for anxiety, for everything. And it all comes with the subscription. You can take the courses as much as you want if you are interested in understanding how your mental health is affecting your brain. They have courses for that. Otherwise, they have therapy sessions that also come with your subscription. So if you need to talk to someone, if you need guidance and help from a professional that will be there to help you sort your life out and get on the path to self improvement, they can do that. And the best part is it's all online and it's totally flexible to your situation. For example, if you don't want to be on video chat, you don't have to be on video chat. If you're one of those people that just likes to text to, have more confidence behind what you're doing and what you're saying, that is an option. So there's really not anything to stop you from getting help that can really just alter your general mood and make you feel better day to day. And if you're someone who feels like you're alone, you don't have to be. BetterHelp is here for you. And as I said, we have a promo code. So if you want to get that discount, just use our our promo code. Let me pull it up here. Sorry. It's betterhelp.com/overtalk. That's betterhelp HELP.com/overtalk. Please make a good change for yourself. I can't stress enough how important mental health is for everyone. Doesn't matter who you are. It is important for everyone. Whether you are feeling like you are at the top of your game, your life is peaking, whatever, this will only help it be even better. Or if you're someone who feels like you're at rock bottom and have no one, this will also help you. Everyone should consider getting professional help. So thank you so much for the sponsorship, BetterHelp. We appreciate you, and I hope to hear some of your guys's success stories going forward with this, because that actually means a lot to me as well. Mental health is a really big topic for me. It always has been. So betterhelp.com/overtalk. Thank you. Now, shifting gears back to where we were. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the patch notes. So sorry, I had to cut in there because we were taking a lot of time to get to
That's
these,
okay.
but there's a lot of stuff to talk about here. So Immortality Field has had a cooldown reduction.
Yeah.
Um, don't like that, really. Um, as much of an Ana hater as I am, the only reason I don't hate on her more, right, is because there are other supports in the game that are like they're just man. I mean, why do they need to be so strong, dude? Why do we need a character that has like a self invincibility dash, does more damage than a lot of DPSs, has like an absolutely asinine amount of healing, has an invincibility cleanse, and has like one of the best ultimates in the game? Why do we need that, man? Why can't we just have like good supports that do buffs and healing and have like a little bit of fighting power? Why do they need to be like these superheroes that it's like, why would I even play DPS when I can do the same damage but also heal my team? It's absolutely
Yeah, and you've
messed up, man.
stumbled across why flex support is the best role in the game. Like it
Yeah,
just is.
yeah, it's been going. It's like, dude, chill out, man. If the supports don't need to be handheld this much, right? Stop with the stuff that's like but like just the disconnect and like someone creating Baptiste abilities, and it's like, yeah, what should we have in our first person shooter? Let's have an AoE invincibility. Why, man? Why do we need that? Just no. Go the other way. The cooldown should be increased to 60 seconds. Baptiste, all right? Don't like that change. Don't like that direction at all. No.
um I think Bap is always been a pretty strong hero, but again, like in more and his like shift are on pretty decently long cooldowns to where it is very easy to like catch Bap out and like blow him up. Okay.
Hmm.
I think he is a very, very diveable support, and he does not like it. It feels like he should have a lot of survivability, but uh, that guy dies. He dies quick. Okay. So if you're not running like a brawl mirror, um, I don't think it's really hard to play BAP without like a brig, right? So I said to you earlier that we were seeing some like Sigma BAP brig comps. Um, and I have a feeling now, like, if they do anything to tweak Sig even more or like buff Brig, like that comp could be a lot more scary, right? Because just Bap is just good, right? He just is good. You were saying it. He does as much damage as a DPS player. He outputs a lot of healing, and then he has like really good cooldowns, right?
Hmm.
Um, I will say though, like I think it's still I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence of like I feel like if the enemy team is playing like a hard dive, it should be really hard for like BAP to get like there's a word on the tip of my tongue. Um I can't figure it out. It's gone. It's gone to the wind. It should be like easy for BAP to get or hard for BAP to get value out of his cooldowns. Like it should
Hmm.
just be using to save himself, and then it's like, okay, well, we got BAP Lamp out. Okay, now we could go with something else. But it's just hard. It's just really hard for teams to do that. So I don't know. I don't think 2 seconds is gonna make a huge change, but I agree. I don't like the direction that it's
Direction.
heading. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um
and see. Oh, go ahead.
um I think again, like things like Suzu should be kind of what we're Suzu and Lamp should be kind of what we're staying away from in games, and things like the Lifeweaver like platform is what we should be going towards more. 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's interesting because, like, a lot of the discussions we've had about balance, I think, reflect the way that, like, we haven't really had like full I mean, we have with Ana, right? But like our disagreements, I think, are reflecting the way we kind of view balance in different ways.
Mhm.
My way of viewing balance is like very much isolated to a hero, right? Rather than like state of the game as is. Because I think that until it hasn't always been that way, right? I think probably around when right before Overwatch 2 is when I started like taking a look at characters in isolation rather than in the entire game state. And I think that looking at balance in the entire game state is actually how we've kind of worked our way into a show.
Mhm.
Um,
I'll agree
because
to
like
that.
for example, yeah, like for example, let's take like goats, right? That's the easiest meta to hopefully people remember it. If you're new to Overwatch, Ghost was essentially a composition that had everything in its toolkit and was completely dominant. There was no way to beat it unless you were one specific top of the like top notch team, Chengdu, right?
Mhm.
Otherwise, you were not beating Goats. You just had to mirror it. And when Blizzard saw that, they were like, well, no one's playing any DPS. That was another thing. It wasn't like role locked, so you had no DPS. You had 3 tanks and 3 supports. They're like, well, no one's playing DPS, so let's just buff the shit out of all the DPSs to make them compete with goats, right? Didn't work. And then what happened when they actually ended up nerfing goats and targeting the problem? Well, now all these DPSs have been power crept to beat goats, right?
Mhm.
So rather than looking at heroes in isolation, they looked at the game state as a whole and made changes about that. And what happens is once a character comes out as strong, they end up buffing other characters to compensate. And if they ever go back on what they did to that character, now these characters are buffed and the other character gets back to where it should be, right? So for stuff like supports, right? I'm talking about how I hate Ana. I think she needs more nerfs, right? It's easy to say something like, or like let's do BAP instead, right? Let's say BAP, right? Talking about how his cooldowns are really strong, and immortality is something we should definitely move away from. That's something you and I both agree on, right?
Mhm.
I think that people might look at that and be like, oh, well, it doesn't matter because BAP's already not really played, and him having a 2-second reduction cooldown, that's not going to change whether or not he's meta, right? But the problem is that if he ever does come back to being meta, like you were saying, now it's like a problem. And I think that if we just started going character by character and started sort of creating a core fundamental in the game and balanced around that instead of always bouncing around a constantly shifting environment, we'd have a better game by the end of the day. It'd take a long time, right? But we would end up with a much better game, I think, right? Just wanted to go on a tangent on that. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I definitely think it's an interesting way. I've never really thought of it in that way before. And I guess my counterpoint or like my additional thought is one that might be kind of newbie or maybe something that is from the beginning of like Overwatch, and it kind of is the thought of right now we have a meta. Okay. It's the Junker Queen meta. Obviously she's really good, right? Um but in an ideal world where we are all the smartest people in the entire world, maybe that's not the meta comp. Maybe it's like ball or something.
True,
Maybe it's something that we haven't even thought of yet. Like we just haven't experimented enough.
true.
Teams can't. They don't have time to experiment, especially in Owl. Right, you have to prepare for tournaments, and so if something's being run, you just mirror it and you go. Right.
That's true. Hmm.
So I I will agree that I do think in that world where like we kind of just accept our own ignorance and we say, okay, like Junker Queen comp is good, but maybe we don't know what's the best. Maybe we should just be bouncing around like individual heroes because you never know when some oh god, what was the name of that EU team that played like May Torb.
Clockwork Orange or Clockwork Vendetta.
Yes, right? They came
Or
out on
I think
this
Clockwork Orange is a movie. My bad.
they came out on this really like unorthodox composition that people were like, "Why are you playing these like crap heroes?" And then they rolled everybody, right? And it was just something that people hadn't thought to do, and it became like a comp that people could just pick up to cheese, right?
Yep.
So
Hmm.
I think there are still things like that that we are still actively figuring out, and that was a very prevalent part of the last patch was people going, "Oh, Monkey's super good. Everybody's going to play Monkey." And then people went, "Well, actually, hold on. Diva, okay. Diva's pretty good. And then if we play Diva, well, we can probably play Brig, and then maybe we can play Hanzo." And then it was like, "Oh, Monkey's not so great anymore, is he?"
No. Nope.
um yeah, so we figured things out, and we kind of like moved away from what we thought everybody thought was going to be hard meta. So I will say like in terms of like meta and like figuring things out, I would like to see individual heroes balance more for sure.
Yeah, and we're actually running. We're kind of running up on time here, so let me just finish off the patch notes. And what
Rapid fire.
one other
Let's
interjection
go.
I want to make. One other interjection I want to make. I actually think Diva has been a massive sleeper pick this
I
entire
love Diva.
time in Overwatch 2. And I think the only reason, maybe this is a hot take, the only reason she has not played a lot is because all the people who were like actually good tanks and like knew how to position with Diva and like actually work her abilities to the maximum back when she was very like skill intensive, and she still is, right? They're kind of just like gone from the game. They've gone on to do other things, and the new wave of tanks that has come in are more prone to playing tanks that are straightforward and how to get value. With like with Diva, there's a lot of what's the word? Like not niche, not there's like fringe value, right? Where it's like you have to know exactly where to position to get the most out of your matrix and be able to really like take control of the game with Diva, right? There's a lot that goes into it. I think she's a super high skill cap tank, right? And I think a lot of people just are more prone to playing a character like Junker Queen or like Reinhardt, where it's like, yeah, there's still a skill cap, but it's not as significant as Diva is, right? They can get the same value on a, on a easier tank. But anyway, let's move into the rapid fire for the patch notes. Okay, Kiriko. Her kunai reloads after 65% of the animation is completed, which I think mainly
It's just a small quality of life thing. So a lot of times with Kiriko, you just be constantly like interrupting your own reload, and so they changed it. Nothing crazy.
yeah. Well, I mean, it technically over the course of a game, that's going to be more than just a quality of life thing, because it means that now if you're really like if you're really conscious of that reload, you can cancel it a lot more and get more actions per minute and more like overall healing and just like stat output. But yeah, I mean mostly like
It's not crazy.
unless you're min maxing, I mean that's pretty straightforward. And then Life Weaver, you can't pull Reinhardts when they're shattering anymore. That
Let's
sucks.
go! The life weaver change
No.
we all wanted.
I like Life Weaver trolling, okay? I do. And I experience it a lot in my games when I'm playing DPS. I get people who are like, oh my god, he's half health. Let me pull him off of the high ground behind the enemy. I was playing a game yesterday, right, where I'm like, I'm in a perfect position. Okay, it's on Route 66. I'm set up on the bridge. The attackers have to walk under, right, to like go and on first point. They have to like walk under the bridge and then go and fight on the cart, right, under the roof. I hit in the tunnel and I swing out and it's like, oh, no one's looking at me, right? Headshot of Hanzo. He turns around, hits me with a body shot. I kill him. After I kill him and I'm half health behind them, my Life Weaver sucks me all the way from the high ground past the gas station and right in front of the enemy Reinhardt. It's like,
It's great.
great. Now he's just gonna walk it. Oh, I'm dead. Okay, well, thanks, man. Appreciate you. I wish you could just reject it.
I had a really similar thing on. I think I was playing like Ramantra, and I had like my ults. I was going in, I was going ham. I was perfectly fine. But my health was like maybe a quarter, but I was like chasing down their Mercy. Like there was no threat to me. They were all dead, and their Mercy was 1 HP, and I got pulled all the way back to my team, and I just did the thing where I just like slowly turned and I looked at that Life Weaver.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting if you could reject the pull and
Yeah.
still take advantage, like the invincibility. You know what I mean? It's like you're fighting someone, and then it's like, oh, Life Weaver pull, and you can like reject it. You know what I mean?
Well,
And like
maybe.
cancel it.
Yeah.
Or it would be cool actually if you could cancel it at any point during the pull. So
Oh,
like
that'd be
you could
cool.
get pulled onto
Like
high
like
grounds and
Mercy
stuff and like
GA
make
kind of.
plays. Yeah, yeah. Like so like you could like time it well and go from one high ground to another or like, stop in the
Mm.
middle or like right in front of someone and flank. Like you could do some cool plays with that. Imagine like a Reaper ult, right? Where you could like now suck him further closer to people or something like that and you could stop it and get kills or something. I
But
think that'd be an
you can
interesting
just pull
change.
Reaper ult. Like he doesn't even have to. He just still goes.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if he's Reaper ulting and you pull him, if you want to put him in the middle,
Oh,
like,
I
okay,
get what you're saying. Yeah.
Life Weaver here, enemy team here, Reaper here, right? If he ults and the enemy team is like just out of range and you pull him on Life Weaver, you're just gonna pull him past,
Yeah.
right? I'm thinking, what if you could cancel in the middle, right? And be
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. It'd be interesting plays. But anyway, okay, let's move on past balance. Let's go into the event. What do we have for the event? The
Okay.
Star Watch event.
So Star Watch, we talked about at the beginning of the episode, but there's a mouse on your webcam. A little cursor. Okay. Yeah, so Star
Sorry.
Watch is you're good. Star Watch is a 4 capture point PvP arcade mode where you either get to queue up as the Infinite Empire or the Rebellion. And a couple things to note, the Infinite Empire is always defense, okay? So they are always going to be already set up, okay? And their team comp is you get to choose between 2 tanks, Sigma or Diva. Your DPS options are Soldier, Soj, or Bastion. And then your one support, because it's a 4v4, is either Brig or Mercy. So, and this is on Horizon Lunar Colony. So think about what is a good comp on Horizon Lunar Colony that we've definitely seen many times before. What could that be? Maybe we like to play some Sigma Mercy Soldier or Mercy Soj, okay? And
Hmm.
just sit up on high ground and be really annoying. Okay. Now imagine you also have turrets scattered around with an absurd amount of HP that Mercy can also damage boost. They're destroyable turrets, okay, but they are there and they only shoot the Rebellion team. Okay,
Hmm.
so that is the Infinite Empire. It's very strong, and I guarantee that a lot of um, newer players to the game are going to struggle, especially because they've never seen that map. Like they're like,
Yeah,
where am
true.
I?
It's true. Yeah, cool.
um
They just made a new map for Overwatch too. Awesome.
So the Rebellion team, now this is interesting because it is 4v4 in terms of playable characters. However, to kind of even things up, um, Blizzard gave the Rebellion team a hard Doomfist bot called Bonebreaker, who is on the Rebellion team to assist. And you can, just like anybody else on your team, this game mode, you could revive them, you can pocket them. He is on your team, he's in the game, but he's a feeder. He just goes in and does not care. It's so funny. Um, and the hero choices for the Rebellion are Hammond or Monkey for your tanks, okay? So keep in mind we're playing into Sigma or Diva here. So Hammond or Monkey, okay? Ash Torb, there is no option. You have to play Ash and Torb
For
into,
the
yeah,
ooh.
into a pocketed, most likely a pocketed Soj or Soldier, okay? Or Bastion,
Hmm.
okay? And then your support, okay, keep in mind this is Monkey Hammond, okay? Your support is either Lucio, okay? Either Lucio or Bap, okay? Those are your options. So already, okay, you're having a Bap that 9 times out of 10 it's going to be so hard to heal that poor Monkey or Hammond that has to play into a pocketed DPS with a shield on the enemy team. It's hard. It's really hard, and they're just sitting on high ground. And then you're like, Bonebreaker, but it's a 4v5. Yeah, Bonebreaker's not doing anything, guys. He's going in and he's dying.
That
Um,
sounds horrible.
yeah, so it's really tough for the Rebellion to win. I have won multiple times on both, but the times that I was playing on the attack, as the Rebellion, it was like I was sweating. I was like working my 9 to 5, and then on defense playing the Infinite Empire. I'm like, la la la, this is so fun. I have turrets. I'm popping off. So a couple cool things about this event. Okay, the 4 capture points actually feels really incredible. It feels so nice. They are a little bit faster to cap than your average like 2CP or hybrid. So that's really nice, and it opens up a lot of like parts of the map. Like if we think about 2CP, like full sky, like right out of spawn on attacker, you would never use that part of the map. Like that was very seldom. Like you had people go into like the building on like the right side, or so
True.
it parts of like Horizon that you just would not use are being
Hmm.
used as capture points, and it's really fun. It's really cool. It puts a lot of uh like more interesting plays of like, oh, where are they going to come from? Where are we going to set up? And they move in this game mode. It's not set capture points. So the first one will be in a spot, but it will differentiate each game on where that spot is. So it could be on the bottom floor of the building. It could be like to the right side. It could be to the left side. So it changes every single time. So
Sure.
and as defenders, you don't know where it's going to be until it unlocks. So that's pretty interesting. Um,
Hmm.
and you don't know where the next one is either until it unlocks. Um,
Yeah. Sounds like a. I mean, I have not played it yet. Full disclosure, I have not gotten a chance to play it. It does sound like a. It sounds like it's honestly. I think that if they balanced it a little more,
yeah,
it might be even better.
yeah,
Sounds like Rebels have a pretty uphill battle to do.
yeah,
Having a
definitely.
bot on the team, which is actually a lot of times a liability more than I mean, does it give ult charge?
I think it does. I don't remember off the top of my
Man,
head. I think it does.
man. That's tough.
To be honest,
That's a tough
like
one.
there is a mechanic in the game where anybody can res anybody. So if you fall, you have to wait like 5 seconds or something, and then your team can come and interact and pick you up, right? Um,
Mhm.
and a lot of the time, like the Doomfist bot would just die, and then like he'd just get picked up, and then he'd go and he'd die again. So it was just kind of like whatever. That he didn't really do anything. Um, I will say there a couple of things I do really, really like from this game mode, and I hope that we continue to see either brought into PvP or even just like maybe they're showcasing some early PvE stuff. But there is
Mhm.
interactable um like things within the environment on the map, okay? So the first thing is that there's these little gravity canisters that when you break them, it will grav. It's the same radius as grav. Um, anything near it, and that applies to
Hmm.
both teams. So you and the enemy team can both be stuck in a grav together,
Hmm.
and anybody can break it. And those are
Cool.
set up all around the map, and that is a really really cool thing. And it opens up a lot of like playmaking things of like, ooh, they're gonna touch the point. Oh, I'm gonna grab them.
Kinda reminds me of League. Those, like, little I don't play a lot of League, so I don't know what they're called, but I know I've seen a ton of League clips before, and they have these little things in the jungle that you can hit, and it'll knock you over walls and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, stuff like that.
Just stuff like that, yeah.
It's really interesting, and it feels like healthy for that to
Mhm,
be an option. And then also on to the fourth capture point, which you will only ever see if you're a crazy rebellion team. At least in my
mhm.
case, I've not seen the fourth capture point unless I push there. Um, there is an option, or there is a like timed thing where all the gravity will just shut off. So you can just
Oh,
like
gotcha.
jump straight into the air and do some crazy stuff and just like float around, and that's always fun.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, that's pretty much the patch, though. That's pretty much all the update. And that's also all of our time for today. So it's I hate to cut it short because this is a good conversation, but we've already ran over our hour, so we really gotta get going here. But
Yeah, no
yeah, we'll
worries.
we'll talk more about you know we'll talk more about this sort of stuff next week. And I know there's a Sigma bug that you want to go over, so we will
Yeah.
do that. We'll make sure we talk about that next week. I wish we could have gotten to it this week, but we just like talking about balance here, man. This is how it is. All right. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out BetterHelp. Please, I'm begging you to do this for yourself. BetterHelp.com/overtalk. And we will see you all next time. Our stuff is down below our heads. Give us a follow.
Yeah,
All right.
next week Tuesday, 1 p.m. PST. Make sure you come.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye.